So now let's take a look at how to get the game flowing. We've seen how to play the game and how a round looks, preparation for that round. Let's take a look at what happens if things start going a bit slow, if the players just need that little bit of extra help. When we start the game, you will note that the game will start very slowly as the players get into the feel of how it works. They might take a while to get into the paperwork depending on their financial literacy or understanding of financial matters or mathematical matters for that sake. Give them a bit of time, just give them a little bit of scope there so that they can just get into the game. But remember, we don't want the game to die down. So rather have them keep playing than sit and understand everything. Better that they learn as the game progresses. If they make a mistake in calculations, when they find it, let them correct it and move on. If they made one by purpose, then obviously that will need to be penalized. But if the player was just had a misunderstanding, correct the mistake and just keep going. Rather than spending a lot of time on the understanding of the game, rather play and learn as the game progresses. Also, let's look at interaction between players. The big thing in Moneywise is the interaction that we get between players playing on the same place, the two players, or then these players with other places or other players in the group. We want them to share information, understand what the others are doing, or just share in general. This livens up the whole atmosphere and the mood of the game. How can we encourage interaction? Firstly, by the life cards. When a player draws a life card, he in some cases will have to pay someone. Let's say, for example, you draw a life card which states that you have to pay the babysitter because you went out for the evening. Now, if you have children, you'll have to pay that. Let's say 300. If B, there is a babysitter in the group, they will receive that 300. So also it is important that when players read their life cards, all other players are listening. If you miss out, you miss out. But do encourage the interaction between the players. Players will also ask questions during the course of the game. Now, most of the answers can be found in the player's guide, but players might not be willing to go and read or make the effort to find the answers they are looking for. So, as we know, information has a price tag. Charge the players for it, or have other players answer the question and have that person pay that player for that amount. So, let's say John wants to know something, ask the group. Is there anybody here that wants to explain to John how, let's say, shares work, for example? There's a 500 Rand on that, and the person who explains it can get the 500. If B, there more than one player that explains shares, give them a cut 50-50. Each receives 250 Rand. Also, ask the players questions. As you proceed, you will see one player will be going through a specific situation and make that available to the general players. Not specifically if they're busy with a deal, but if they are experiencing a life lesson. Ask everybody else. Does anybody see any insight into helping, for example, John and Sarah with this problem that they're encountering? It might be a good idea just to ask the players if they are willing to share the information with everybody. Although when general information is available or requested, it can be shared with everyone. Now the players will ask some questions, and some of those questions might be hard questions. What do you do in a situation where a player asks a question and you are not sure of? The trick here, keep a strong face and redirect the question. When John asks, what is shares, and you're unsure, you do not have to know what shares is. Open it to the group and say, is there anybody here that can explain shares to John? If he answers correctly, have him receive a reward. Well, you might not know if it's correct, but an answer is an answer. If you, for any case, there's nobody in the group that doesn't understand that principle and yourself doesn't understand it as well, make that open that to the group and tell them you're not sure, but you will refer to the banker guide and they can refer to the player guide. It is not necessarily that you know everything, and you will find the needed information will be in the player and banker guide, which you can take from there. Now during the game, you will see that the flow of the game might slow down. So let's take a look at the flow. How can we increase the play? Or in other words, the amount of transactions done, which will be dependent on the amount of money available to the players. In the beginning, players will need a lot of money because they will have high expenses for this and that and the other and not that high incomes. as the game progresses, their income will obviously increase. So how can we help players if we see the game in general slowing down because everybody is just waiting for a salary the next round? Let's take a look at a few things. For example, lifeguards again. Lifeguards are there that during the beginning of the game you will see that an unexpected happening or expense will throw you off track quite a bit. As the game progresses, players will make lots more money and a small thing will not affect them that bad. And in that case, lifeguards just become a bookkeeping run-of-the-mill activity. Rather remove the lifeguards, and generally that is after 2 years or 8 rounds, you will see players earning enough that they will not need to use lifeguards anymore. Explain it to them and remove it from the game. Another example will be cash injections. As the banker, you have the ability to do as you please. So you can tell them, the economy is going well, people, you all get a reward, a bonus, a payout, an increase in rent, or whatever the case may be. And give them each 2,000, 1,000, 5,000, depending on how much money is needed to get the game flowing again. We can also give players rewards for the way they play. We will take each player individually or each board or position, and we will ask the group to analyze how they are playing. We will look at, did they play well? Are they following certain strategies? How close are they to achieving their goals? How much have they been helping other players? They can then be rewarded for this, an amount between 1,000 and 5,000. Have the group decide how much we must give to them, and then as the banker you can give that to them. But what do we do if a single player is struggling? Let's take John and Sarah. They might not be following any specific plan or have any idea what to do next. They might not have a huge amount of cash and therefore might need a little bit of guidance or information. Make it open to the group and ask the group if they can give information to John and Sarah. As an example, they can just be needing to do this or that or the other and help them out to progress to the next step. If, for example, they are in need of money, we can't give just one player an amount of money. That would be unfair. But we could ask the group to give John and Sarah some money. They could loan to them interest-free or just on a low interest maybe. Maybe they'd even be so nice as to give them that money just for giving. And that could help those players to move up. Then also, another thing that could help speed up the game is when players start working together. If you see that the players are winning their own cause or fighting their own fight, maybe just tell them that they could work together and buy a bigger deal. Instead of sitting and waiting for their money to pile up, you could have them go into a partnership with somebody else. That partnership will be the responsibility of the players to arrange. The banker will just make sure that both players are following the legal rules. And that is all from my side, except for happy many millions, many goals achieved, and a lot of smiles. Enjoy.